We voted at noon today on whether we were going to start the debate on the student loan interest bill. For those who are following it, the largest federal loan to college students, the Stafford loan, has a current interest rate of 3.4%. That interest rate expires on July 1st and doubles to 6.8%, meaning any students taking out a loan after that date will pay twice as much in interest. The practical impact of that is fairly clear. If you were to borrow $20,000 to go to college through the federal Stafford loan and paid 3.4% on that $20,000, you would find that you were paying $4,000 less than you'd pay if you were at 6.8%. So it adds roughly 20% to the cost of that student's loan over the life of repayment. That is a significant expense. So it would seem that this is a pushover. Who disagrees with this idea? That lessening the burden on students in college is good for our country, because more students will seek higher education. Good for the student, less of a burden when they graduate. Good for their families, because many of them co-sign on these loans. Then the vote was called. And at the end of the vote, not one single Republican senator would vote to proceed to the debate on the bill. Not one. One senator, Senator Snowe, voted present. Every other Republican senator voted no. Those who were present voted no. How did this become a partisan issue? We have President Obama and Governor Romney agreeing, most Americans agreeing, we don't want the cost of student loans to go up, and it falls flat on its face at the floor at noon today. Not a single Republican would vote for it. I don't understand it. They say, well, we don't like the way you pay for it. It costs $6 billion to lower this interest rate that we would otherwise collect. Well, we pay for it by changing the tax code and closing a tax loophole used by accountants and attorneys under Subchapter S corporations to avoid paying their regular income tax on their income. They go through this S corporation, call income dividends, and don't pay the regular income tax rate, and don't pay the withholding tax that ordinary income is subjected to. I think closing that loophole is reasonable. It produces $6 billion. It pays for the student loan interest rate to stay down. I can accept that. Some on the Republican side of the aisle say, no, that is a tax increase. And they, many of them, have categorically said we will never, ever, ever, never vote for a tax increase, no matter what it is. And so they walked away from the student loan bill. They say we have a better way to do it. Senator Reid came to the floor, the Democratic Majority Leader, and said, fine, then what we'll do is call the bill and you offer your way to do it. Pay for it a different way. Bring it up for a debate. Let both sides debate it. Then let's vote on it. And then let's move forward. No, they wouldn't accept it. They all voted against proceeding to the bill. For anyone who is following what's going on here, this is what's known as a filibuster. It's clear to me that we should be spending our time here dealing with this. And I learned it firsthand when I went home last week. I started visiting campuses. In Chicago, I went to DePaul University. Downstate, I went to Bradley University in Peoria. In Decatur, I went to Millikan University. And at each of these places, students came forward to explain what they were facing in terms of student loans. And I think I'd like to enter in the record here what experience they had that they shared with me. One of them that I met was Amy. Amy goes to DePaul University in Chicago. She's an art major. Her sister Michelle came to join us at the press conference. Here's Amy's situation. Amy comes from a working family who can't help her pay. So she works and borrows to try to get through school. Amy is an art major. Her student loan indebtedness at the end of June will be, for 4 years, $80,000. That's how much she owes. But she says that bachelor's in art's not good enough. I think I need a master's. And I think it'll be another $60,000 I need to borrow. Whoa. $140,000, young lady, and you are 25 or 26 years old? You're borrowing not only the government loan, but way beyond it into private loans. The government loan's 3.4%. The private loans for students in school range from 8 to 18%. They're much like credit card debt. They're so expensive. This young lady thinks she's doing the right thing. She was told, go to school, get an education, follow your dream. Her dream is at the end of a very long and expensive road, $140,000 in debt. Her sister Michelle, a year at DePaul, decided she wanted to be a teacher and teach grade school. She looked at the indebtedness that she'd have to incur to finish school and decided to move back home to Indiana and to go to the local public college and try to get as many credits as she could at a low price and then perhaps finish at DePaul when it's all over. She thought, if my debt is too much, I won't be able to teach. I can't make enough money. I wouldn't be able to pay my loan back. That is one real-life story of two sisters who are doing the right thing and are facing student loan debt. How could we explain that we're going to raise the interest rate on either one of them at this point in paying back their student loans? It will make it virtually impossible for Amy, who could be $80,000 to $140,000 in debt, and for Michelle, how's she going to be the teacher which we want her to be? Bradley University in Peoria, I met a student named Rose. She told me that if the interest rate on her loans doubled, which will happen if the filibuster continues by the Republicans, she might have to move in with her parents after graduation and make other sacrifices to make her loan payments. Rose estimated that increasing interest rates will cost her about $4,000 because she plans on graduating with about $20,000 in debt. I also met Deshaun from Alton, Illinois. He's a freshman majoring in economics and political science at Bradley, and he wants to be an international lawyer someday. He's a first-generation college student, and he realizes without student loans, he doesn't have a chance to realize his dream. There's another proposal coming out of the House of Representatives, which I think is really bad. They say that we should pay for keeping student loans affordable by reducing preventive health care programs. We have a fund that we've created that pays for, among other things, preventive care, childhood immunizations. So if the money is taken out of that fund, fewer American children will be receiving the vaccines and the inoculations which we want for all of our kids to keep them safe. Is it important that kids receive these vaccinations? I think it's very important. There's also money in this prevention fund, which the House Republicans want to cut out, calling it a slush fund, to be used for diabetes prevention. Mr. President, you can't pick up a newspaper or a magazine without reading about the incidence of obesity, the growing number of overweight children, and the increasing incidence of diabetes among our children. In fact, forms of diabetes that used to be confined to adults in America are now being found in children in America. And these children have to be treated with pretty powerful drugs to overcome this disease of diabetes. So the House Republicans say, let us reduce the amount of money we are using for public education and treatment to reduce the incidence of diabetes and instead spend it on student loans. What a Faustian bargain that is. What a bargain with the devil that is. That we are going to put at risk children when it comes to immunizations and diabetes in order to help grown children, young adults, pay their student loans. Is that what it's come to? That we are so determined to not touch the tax code and the loopholes in it that we're going to risk the health of our children or the cost of college education for our kids as well? I think the approach in the House is not defensible, and I hope that at the end of the day, we can make sure that we do this in a responsible way.